Hello, hello. What is good? Today I want to talk to you about something that is just so near and dear to my heart. But before I get into that, I want to give a big shout out to all of you who are doing your deep inner work, who are doing your healing work, who are facing yourselves every day, going inside, looking at your interior landscape and clearing and cleansing and healing all that is needed to come out for you to live your life purpose, for you to live your best life. And the reason why I want to give you a shout out is because it's baller work, right? If you're healing, if you're digging in deep, you're a baller, and I want to just congratulate you. You have courage. You're strong. You're doing some deep healing work, not just only for yourself, but for your family, for the people that you affect in your life, ultimately for the planet, forwards and backwards in time. So thank you. Deep bows. I'm in your corner. I support you, and just want to acknowledge you because I know how intense it can be. So thank you. Okay, so what I want to talk about today is the abandonment wound. And this is like something super important to me because I really feel just driven like in my heart mission to create a self-love revolution, no souls left behind. So I want to start with abandonment and the abandonment wound. Everything feels more intense with an abandonment wound, right? So in relationship, this is the most prevalent. Like we can experience this abandonment wound the most when we're actually in relationship. So we might find ourselves being that anxious one in the relationship, attracting partners who may be avoidant or seem avoidant to us, even if they're not that really, just because any space they take during conflict may feel like abandonment to us. So learning to self-soothe when we're triggered can help us come home to our bodies when we're feeling overwhelmed with those big emotions. And self-soothing really is the key. Once you learn to self-soothe, you can basically just tackle any hard situation that comes up in your life. We don't learn how to self-soothe when we're kids. We don't learn how to self-soothe in school. Self-soothing is really just a skill. And so you can learn it and apply it to your life. And I'm telling you, once you do that, like your whole world opens up. It really is one of the most profound healing things I've ever learned for myself. And so I'm really wanting to get this message out, and this technique, this skill of self-soothing out into the world in big ways. So when we learn to self-soothe, it can also help us shift any of that anxious, avoidant, push-pull pattern that may be going on in our intimate relationships, as well as overcome any kind of addictions or those numbing techniques that we use when we're really upset and we don't know what else to do. Things like drinking alcohol, smoking weed, having sex, eating too much, shopping too much, binge watching Netflix are some of the ways that we tend to numb out in our culture. And although none of these things are like inherently bad by themselves, when we overdo it as a means of escape, that's when it has a negative effect on us, right? So if we have an abandonment wound, we tend to perceive minor upsets as more significant, like a more significant threat to our system, and we have a struggle to really maintain our center in the midst of conflict. So even if that threat isn't real, these moments can feel terrifying and really trigger a deep fear of abandonment and loss. And during that time, during that like perceived threat, during that like trigger of fear, loss, abandonment, like holy shit, what's happening? We may feel like we need somebody else to save us from our big emotions, right? So we may feel as though the walls are caving in on us. We might feel like we just might overreact or make demands of our partner from a place of urgency and fear. We're just like kind of like scurrying, kind of like a hamster on a wheel, just to like get those big emotions down, because what we're really looking for is the feeling of safety, right? We just want to feel safe in our bodies, safe in our nervous system, safe in our relationships, safe in the world. So we might panic if our partner needs to take space, or assume that conflict means that the relationship's over. We might feel this overwhelming urge to have to fix the problem right now in this moment, and can become really bitter and resentful if our partner isn't ready. So if this happens to you, you're not broken, you're not crazy, you have an abandonment wound and an inner child that needs tending to. So this is the moment where I like people just to like take a deep breath and just feel this in your body. If this resonates with you, you're going to feel it in your body, usually in your solar plexus or in your heart chakra, typically both. So just breathe into that space. Just breathe into that space right now. And, clue number one to self-soothing is like breath. The breath brings you into the present moment. Okay, good. So your inner child, if you're not familiar, is this little you inside of you. The innocent, vulnerable, sometimes even irrational little you that has feelings that don't always make sense and may not always know how to express them. But as an adult, it's your job to tend to this little you, your inner child, and really learn how to self-soothe in these moments of heightened emotion, stress, fear, anxiety. So these anxious and avoidant patterns in a relationship usually look like one person like overextending themselves. So they're moving towards, they're going towards the person, they're applying pressure, they're making demands. They're usually the one that wants to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and fix it right in that moment, right? And then there's the other person who is like underextending. So they're pulling back, they're moving away, they're shutting down, they're getting quiet. Maybe they just even leave the room and they really undercommunicate. So if you are the anxious one in this equation, you might think that it's the avoidant person who's just like throwing a wrench in the wheel. But ding-a-ling-a-ling. Let me just pause that. So if you're the anxious one in this equation, you might feel like it's the avoidant person that's just like screwing this whole thing up, right? Just if they could just come towards me and fix this, and the problem will be solved, right? But I want you to consider this, and this is actually a really big consideration. What if their avoidance is a gift to you? An invitation for you to slow down, be present with yourself in the midst of having those big emotions, and learn how to feel your way through this intense experience without grasping for something externally to save you. As long as you're focused on the other person and what they need to do for you to feel better, this pattern can't shift. Okay, so patterns break when we look at the situation from a fresh perspective and we change not only our behavior but our internal dialogue about the problem. So as long as we believe that the problem is outside of us, this pattern will find a way to emerge over and over and over again, even if you happen to be with a secure partner. So our responsibility as the anxious person in this dynamic is to learn how to hold space for ourselves and take the pressure off the other person. So the reality is, even if your avoidant partner did show up for you the exact way that you want them to, you might feel better in that moment, but your abandonment wound is still going to be alive. It's still going to be kind of running the show in the background. So self-soothing is the key here, and it's about learning how to calm your nervous system down and be there for yourself when you feel scared, overwhelmed, and anxious. So in essence, you're learning how to mother your inner child, nurturing the little one inside of you who needs attention, wants to feel safe, seen, loved, cared for. And we can find people momentarily to hold that space for us, but there's nothing more healing than learning how to hold space for yourself at the end of the day. So that's what I want to talk about. It's a big deal. And when we learn how to hold space for ourselves, when we learn how to self-soothe, it's the ultimate radical act of self-love. And I'm really, really interested in creating a self-love revolution where no souls are left behind. That's a big deal for me. And it just feels like my heart mission. And if this resonates with you, I want you to know that you can heal your abandonment wound. So how do we do this? Well, I'm going to offer a 5-week online transformational hypnotherapy healing journey called The Wounds of Love. Heal your relationship patterns once and for all. And it starts on May 15th. And you can actually save $200 when you register by midnight tonight, April 30th. And we're going to just go through this 5-week journey together and really learn how to heal our abandonment wound. The first session is going to be all about really identifying your relationship pattern and your attachment style. And this can apply to you if you're anxious or avoidant or anxious avoidant or even secure. Like whatever the issue is, whatever your pattern is, whatever your attachment style is, we're going to identify that in the first session. And then in the week 2, we're going to really discover what's holding you back from receiving the love that you most want. And I'm calling this like the relationship shadow. So we're going to discover, uncover, and heal your relationship shadow. Then we're going to go deep into the abandonment wound, healing that, whether you're anxious or avoidant. We all have this wound that needs healing. And so we're just going to bring a lot of love and care and really rewire your nervous system to respond, react, and to even just perceive the world in a different way without that threat of abandonment, without that threat of loss. And as we clear that lens away, the whole world opens up. It's just like, it's like from going black and white to Technicolor. It's like that moment in The Wizard of Oz where the movie's black and white and then they land in Oz and it's all color. It really is that kind of a moment that's going to happen for us in week 3. And then in week 4, we're going to talk about creating healthy boundaries in relationships so that you feel safe and secure, first with yourself and then with others. And then the last session, we're going to work really on opening our heart to receiving healthy love. So most of us grew up with an experience of love that was kind of maybe mixed with pain, or love that was here and then not here. And so we're attracting that again in our relationships. And so our definitions of like what healthy love are, we don't have an experience of that in our nervous system. We know it in our minds. We know it in our bodies when we feel it coming from ourselves maybe, or when we see it like with a grandmother and a grandchild, but we don't have really that experience just rooted in our cells and in our DNA. So we're going to really work with the nervous system and on all barriers to receiving healthy love. So if you're interested in that, you can learn more at my website, kellyberry.com. And again, thank you for all of you out there that are just doing the deep dive into your healing work. My hair's crazy. We really, really need it. So thank you.